Hi folks and welcome back. So we have one last video to wrap up some ideas from Anderson that will lead into our discussion for this week. I want to talk a little bit about the relationship between liberty and private government, or the three forms of liberty we've looked at, and private government. Anderson's point is that the notion of private government helps us to grasp how in the modern workplace our liberties are often severely constrained. In the modern workplace, there are many spheres in which we can't just act as we would want to act. We can't just choose to act in any way that we would like. So our negative liberties are constrained. Our positive liberties are constrained because our options are limited. There aren't many opportunities, there aren't many places we can go where we can escape these constraints. There aren't many choices that we can make. But most importantly, our Republican liberties are constrained under private government in the modern workplace, because most employment in the modern workplace is at-will employment. Employers can fire us for whatever reasons they want or for no reason at all. And we are constantly at their whim, right? We are dominated by them in this sense. Now, because of social norms, because of the need to maintain a decent public image, most firms will not just arbitrarily fire their employees. Most firms will not treat their employees terribly. They will not exercise the great deal of power they are allowed to exercise, they are legally allowed to exercise over their employees. But that doesn't make us any more free in this sense of Republican liberty, right? We are still subject to their domination. So what can we do about this? How can we make ourselves more free? Well, there are a couple of competing worries here, right? One is that this kind of unfreedom is necessary, or is perhaps necessary, because there are massive gains to be had from the economies of scale that are accomplished in the modern workplace. There are massive gains to be had from the efficiency of the modern workplace. And these massive gains can only be acquired if managers are empowered to make decisions without being constrained by the interests or needs or demands of their employees. They have to be able to move people around, to change people's hours, to respond to the market that they are a part of, or that they are looking at. This is the theory of the firm that we talked about last week. So there's some need for private government. It can't be avoided. So given that that is the case, how can we ensure or secure the liberties of modern workers in the modern workforce who are subject to such private governments? It's one last thing on liberty and private government. Anderson says, one's liberty can be constrained by private governors and domains of activity kept private from the state, and increased state constraints on people's negative liberties can generate massive net gains in individual positive and Republican freedoms. It can even generate net gains in their negative liberties to the extent that the people being constrained by the state are private governors over others. So perhaps the state has a role to play in constraining the behavior of firms, the behavior of these private governments, and making them in some way responsive to or answerable to, or accountable to those who are governed by them, their employees. That's one idea. But it's one of a set of ideas that Anderson puts forward. The idea is that if government like this is necessary, if it can't be avoided, or it can't be escaped, then we should do everything we can to make it public rather than private government, to make it answerable to those who are governed. And the ways she proposes to do that are to make exit more accessible, to institute the rule of law within the confines of firms, to create substantive constitutions for workers or workers' bills of rights, and most importantly, to give workers a voice through workplace democracy, through labor unions, and through company unions. And it's these four ideas, these four strategies for making private government public that I want to spend our time talking about this week. So we'll pick this up when we meet on Thursday or Friday.